What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Don't Tell Me How to Fan. My name is Josh Albrecht. You know me from my time on that radio station. And with me every time is my buddy, John Taylor. What's going on, pal?
Hey, Josh, how you doing? I'm doing well. I keep saying it, and I'll keep saying it. I'm doing great. The Packers won.
I hope you do.
Yeah. Packers won, and what a game it was.
I don't even remember exactly how I felt when we did the episode. What was that? Episode 2, talking about Malik's first win. But this was everything I wanted from Malik and more. I mean, this was awesome. And I'm not saying it's all his credit, right? Matt LaFleur did a great job. I mean, the whole team did a great job of understanding the assignment and completing the assignment. But there's a reason why they say this is a quarterback league, right? Because there's a reason why we paid Jordan Love all this money.
Oh, yeah.
It's because you need that type of player to execute everything else that happens on the field. Was not expecting Malik in game 1 that Malik was out there to do what he did.
Yeah.
It was mostly running, though. You know, a lot of it was on Jacobs, right? We knew that. It's going to have to change for this game against the Titans. We're going to have to see Malik throw. Didn't expect Malik to run as much as he did. Dude killed it. Came away with a win. I remember when Jordan Love went down, we were saying, if depending on how long he's out, if they win half the games that he's out, it's a huge victory for this team. They go 2-0, and you got to think Jordan Love's back next week.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go undefeated. Woo! Yeah. A lot of people are saying there could be a quarterback controversy in Green Bay, you know?
No one's saying that.
No one with half a brain cell is saying that. Right. And I'm not either. Let's not put the cart before the horse. Okay. I think we, in any 2-game stretch in the season, this was the 2-game stretch to lose Jordan Love. I think, like we talked about in the Colts preview and post game, you could run on them. That's why you go get Josh Jacobs, and they were able to do that. You know, you and I had a long conversation about they were not going to be able to have 50 rush attempts. And they didn't this against game, against the Titans. So we knew that they were going to have to really move the ball down the field. You know, I think I said on that preview, you know, if we could keep it to like 35, it means the rushing was doing well. And we got up to 37 rushing attempts. So, just Justin Simmons, I forget who their guy on the line is, said that nobody runs on the Tennessee Titans, but boy, oh boy, did we run all over them today. You know, we're talking, 143 yards total rushing. Am I missing?
No, I think that's it. That's good to me. I want to talk about some of those rushing yards being Malik Willis. I know some people are going to get, that's a ridiculous thing. There was a lot of Lamar that I saw in the way that Malik Willis played. And that's like a huge compliment for a guy who's a backup QB who was, let's be honest, garbage in his time with Tennessee. I mean, he didn't have a ton of time, but like it's completely different than what we saw in the 2 games that he played for the Packers. And there are people that say, well, that's the difference between having a great organization and a subpar organization. That might be true, but he's still a backup. A backup QB is not supposed to do those type of things. You don't see them seeing those holes, running, getting the first downs the way he was, making plays. He was straight up making plays. It was not just hitting throws when he was supposed to. It was making plays out of plays that fell apart. I was so impressed.
Yeah.
That being said, I mean, bring Jordan back. This next game, this is when you.
Yeah, Malik's great. I never need to see him play football ever again as a Green Bay Packer. And I say that with all the love and respect in the world.
Yeah, you know? Absolutely. I mean,
that's how I feel. Thanks for doing all that. Enjoy the bench. It's great. I mean, I don't know if I can go as far as I see Lamar in his game as
you didn't see a single play that made you think Lamar. You could tell me that right now, John Taylor?
No, it was all uniquely Malik Willis, all his own.
Garbage.
No, I just wasn't thinking about other players while I was watching. I was very impressed. I thought he made every time he made the decision to tuck the ball and run. I think it was great. You know, I think he was sacked 3 times, which we weren't hoping to see, but it is what it is. Those 3 sacks, I think only 1 was in the pocket. So with a shifty, quarterback, it can be hard for a lineman to block in the right way. You think you got your guy beat, and then all of a sudden the quarterback runs right by you. So I don't think there was anything he did wrong in that front. He has not turned the ball over in the last 2 games.
Nope.
You know, he was terrible in Tennessee with that. And to your point, like you said, he's a backup, but I think really what he is he's still a rookie. Like he got, you know, we talk about like organizational stuff all day long, and I understand saying like, hey, you know what, he's here now, and that's great. But the dude had almost no time. The Titans, I don't know how many different ways I can say it. The Titans failed him as an organization. The coaches didn't want him when they were drafted, and then when the front office left, this front office didn't want him. So it's not, he never got enough reps. But he clearly he's clearly a smart guy. He has a mind for football. You know, Matt LaFleur had that gushing quote about, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I think everyone's probably heard it at this point. But, you know, he said, if you knew half of the stuff he did to get ready for this, you'd be blown away. He's like, you think you know, but you have no idea what he's been doing.
You think you know, but you don't know, and you'll never know. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
That's right.
And I think that's right. I mean, to step into a situation that the Packers found themselves with only 3 weeks of prep time, you know, being on the other end of it, you just hoped that the rest of the team could figure it out. And I think this Titans game was a great example where, I mean, he did everything. He went 13 for 19 for 202 yards, had 1 touchdown. I mean, he had a ESPN quarterback rating of what, 92.9?
Yeah.
I mean, that's out of 100. Malik Willis.
I know.
Had a QBR rating of 92.9.
I know.
It's crazy.
Dude was killing it.
Yeah.
And like I said, all of that's not on Malik though, right? As much as I'm gonna bash LaFleur because that's what fans do. They bash coaches. You know, I also got to give him his flowers. I mean, he understood the assignment, 2 games in a row, understood what he had to work with and what had to happen. There was less wiggle room for errors and in the scheming, in the game plan. There were a few drives that, especially like down in the red zone, where I was like, there was like one specifically where it was like 2 handoffs to Jacobs, and then they ended up kicking a field goal from like the 7. And I was like, come on. You know, like that's it. That's the creativity there, is we're going to do that, then try to do something on 3rd down that fails and we're done. I didn't like that. But in general, you know, he knew the game plan had to change. They weren't going to be able to do the same thing they did in week 2. They couldn't build off of that. They had to change it for week 3. They did and executed it perfectly. Well done. I mean, kudos. You know?
Hats off. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how about that first play, right? You could tell the Titans were thinking run all day long. Yeah, a nice little 30-yard pass cross body to Jaden Reed, and Jaden Reed just runs the ball 30 yards. I mean, set the whole tone. I mean, they walked up and down the field on that first drive. Unfortunately, so did the Titans. Right. But you know, they talk about that. That's a scripted drive. They have 6 plays ready to go for that. You execute it. That's the best the team's going to look is then, and probably in a 2-minute drill, because those are the things you rehearse the most. So, you know, the difference between the Packers and the Titans is, look what the Packers did after that scripted drive was over. They had concepts they were looking for. They had looks they were looking to exploit, matchups, really, really exciting play calling. You know, they varied their backs. You know, I never thought Josh Jacobs was going to be able to reproduce what he did last week, but I mean, just to get in the mix, to include Emmanuel Wilson, you know, I don't want to dogpile on AJ Dillon, but I mean, Emmanuel Wilson gives you something that AJ Dillon never could. He's not the most. He's not the most.
You need that guy. You need that little getting through and not just plowing. You know, Jacobs does that with Aaron Jones. When you had Jones and Dillon, right? Dillon was the plow guy. You know, Jones wasn't just pushing through guys to get an extra 2 or 3 yards. He was getting through the holes, and you were like, oh, how did he get through that? Now it's kind of flipped, right? Now your starter in Jacobs, your number 1, he's the bruiser. And then, but Emmanuel Wilson has been outstanding for what he needs to be. I love it. I love what
12 carries for 50 yards at a 4.2 average. Hey, that's a first down in the NFL last I checked. Yeah. And then, you know, he had that beautiful screenplay. I mean, we were kind of talking about Matt LaFleur. We've kind of naturally segued into Emmanuel Wilson's breakout game, but I mean, that whole play was incredible. Yep. Bo Melton on an orbit motion, you know, running from the slot down and around. I mean, he ran about 25 yards before the ball even got snapped. And all he was a decoy so that way they could throw a screen pass to the left. They had linemen moving right. I mean, it was a beautiful play, and Emmanuel Wilson caught the ball, got downfield in a hurry. I like to call it a little bit of a wiggle. He has something in his game. He can make somebody miss in the open field. He did, and then he just took it right to the house. So I mean, it was incredible. I find myself having a hard time saying too many specifics because it was the most complete offensive game Matt LaFleur has maybe ever called. He let Malik Willis throw the ball downfield when needed. A great example of that is that 3rd and 18. Last week they would have did a check down, get as many yards as you can, and we'll let Daniel Whelan punt it within the 5. And to watch Malik Willis throw it to Christian Watson, high point it to a spot where only Christian Watson could catch. I mean, that's where Jordan Love puts that ball. That's not like an okay throw for Malik Willis. That is a throw the Green Bay Packers organization wants to see their quarterback make. And
that's a this man's getting paid throw.
Yeah.
I'm being honest. That throw to Watson had me going, this dude's going to get paid. I don't know when. I don't know if it's a trading sign. I don't know what, but there is going to be a team that saw what Malik Willis did in these 2 games and said, this guy's way better than what we have.
Oh, yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah, he might be the best backup quarterback we've ever had. And not to say, because he's not an heir apparent, less Favre, less Rodgers, less Love, because they were waiting to start.
Right.
This guy's never going to start for the Green Bay Packers. It could be because he's also number 2, but he reminds me a lot of like Aaron Brooks, like a guy who we drafted him, but he showed enough that people went, oh, if he can do that with the Packers, we can do something with him. And I think, if you flip him for anything more than a 7th rounder, that's great. I was joking yesterday during the game, send him back to the Titans for a 3rd rounder. Will Levis is a bad quarterback.
Yeah, he's not good at football.
And his offensive line is doing him no favors. He's half the quarterback Joe Burrow is, but you talk about guys in their first year who are expected to produce, I guess, second year, but with no offensive line help, just getting absolutely murdered. Will Levis will get hurt this year. Their offensive line is terrible. One of them got benched. They gave up. I don't even know if it's time but they gave up a lot of pressures, a lot of sacks, an historic amount. But yeah, I just wanted to get back to that point too about Malik Willis because we were kind of on it. We've been on it for the last 3 weeks, and we will be until he's no longer starting. But just the fight, I think the buy-in from the guys too. I think for me, one of my biggest knocks on Christian Watson, it's not even his injury. It's just I don't see him fighting for balls very often. If they're not where they need to be, he's just not high pointing them in that way. That's more of like a Romeo Dobbs type of trait. And he did that. I watched him fight for that ball. And to me, that just screams I believe in Malik Willis. And, he was on record saying, Malik Willis might not say this is a revenge game, but that's how we're reviewing it. We want to go in there and let him ball out in front of the team. And it showed. 100% it showed up and down the tape. So
also, you brought up with Watson too. There were multiple plays with Watson, especially that one where he got pushed when he was midair, where I was like, boy, what are you doing? You cannot stay healthy for the life of you. And now you're literally flying through the air out of bounds. Mm-hmm. Please stop doing that.
Not my favorite. On rewatch, luckily both defenders, he got tackled twice trying that. They met him at the chest and then they kind of threw him down. So luckily no helmets to the legs.
I'm worried about not
the
player.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of those situations you watch guys trying to put helmets into hamstrings,
sure.
If you're going to give yourself up like that. So, but it's not my favorite. I'm sure he got a talking to by everybody on the sideline. Hey pal, let's just go out of bounds next time.
But
yeah, two receptions, 67 yards. He led the wide receiving room on those 2 big plays. And that's why you can't quit. That's why you can't quit Christian Watson because
which so many people wanted to.
I know. He just has number 1 stuff. If the guy can stay healthy, he is a wide receiver 1.
That's the key point. He's got to be on the field.
Yeah. So this will be the year to prove it.
Right.
Yeah,
but he is so far.
Yeah.
That was a huge game for him. Now I know we're going to get to the defense too, but before we completely move on from the offense, how much are you buying into this being look, the only reason why we saw what we did was because they were playing a bad team? How much of what we saw from this offense, the numbers they're putting up, was especially with Malik, because of the opponent, and how much of it was legitimately just good stuff?
I think at this point you have to say it was all good stuff. Do I think they're going to run the same plays that they did for Malik when Jordan Love comes back? No, because they've shown they don't want to have him doing zone reads. They've shown they don't want him running like that. And obviously with an arm like Jordan Love and the talent that he has, you don't want him running around like that anyways, if you can help it. But I think if you can take 6 to 8 plays that you ran over the last 2 weeks with Malik Willis and have Jordan Love run those plays, I mean, this stuff translates. This is all translatable plays. It's not like most of this was Malik Willis just using his legs on broken down plays. I mean, we're talking about, especially this Titans team, a stout defensive front that can get after the quarterback. And they, 3 sacks is the most obviously he gave up over the last 2 games, but it's not terrible. I think a lot of it really does translate. I think it forced Matt LaFleur to think differently about how to utilize this team, but I don't think there's any going back. I think a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Jaden Reed, I mean, they do trick plays and they want to get them, but I mean, at this point, you just got to get the ball in his hands. And, I want to keep seeing end arounds. I want to keep seeing quick wide receiver screens. And that's the one that has been consistent. He's too talented not to have it happen. But I think mixing up Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson more, I think will be great. Are there packages where you can run them both out? Kind of like we're talking about.
Right, get more creative.
Yeah.
You have the ability to get creative. You have the pieces to scheme differently, do it.
Yep.
And at this point, LaFleur has shown me nothing to say he won't. So I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. The one thing I don't want to translate real quick are the penalties, man. I don't know if I'm not trying to litigate the entire NFL, but there's been a really, it seems like a lot more holding calls, a lot more emphasis on illegal formations. And, if by the letter of the law, they're wrong, then throw the flag. But it felt like there was a lot of really ticky-tacky holding calls on the Packers. And normally I'm not a big they're doing it for us or not doing it for them. But if you're going to call a tight game against the Packers, it's like, well, then I'm going to start watching what the Titans are doing. And it starts showing, why is this a penalty when the Packers do it? Why is it not a penalty when the Titans do it? But I mean, the biggest culprit is Rasheed Walker. I mean, that dude is, I think we all went into the offseason going, we're going to lose Bakhtiari. Rasheed Walker is a good enough replacement for it. But I mean, he was sharing time all the way up through Christmas. It's not like it was always his job. He still has a lot to do to get better and a lot to prove. I think we all like what he's capable of. There's a couple really nice highlights from this game where you're seeing him, chip a blocker and then get second level on a linebacker fast in a bunch of different plays. So I'm not ready to give up on him, but he's got to clean up the mental mistakes. I think the entire team does.
I was going to say
that's the only.
You can point him out, and that's fine. But it's definitely, and it's for me, it's not even the holding as much as it is, the lining up off sides and the, illegal formation. Like that's just. I mean, everyone's going to get holding calls. It's BS stuff that as fans we hate when it happens to our team. Right? We love it when it happens to the other team because it's like, oh my god, okay, cool. But the other stuff is like dumb mistakes, and you can't have that. And it just seems like when it's happening for the Packers, those penalties are happening not on first downs either. They're happening on like huge opportunities, like to where it's crucial you don't mess this up. And then it's that, oh, never mind, bring that back. It's going to be 3rd and 15 now because you couldn't line up. Oh, like that. That killed me, and it still does. It's killed me since week 1. And I was told it's rust. It's rust. How long is it rust? Until it's just you're bad at this.
Yeah, it needs to be a point of emphasis for sure. I mean, I think rust only lasts week 1. Hey, you guys you guys lost in the Eagles against the Eagles, so now it's time to wake up and really take the season seriously. Which, if you're looking in the win column, the penalties matter less. They figured out ways to win, but you're right. At some point, penalties keep you from winning close games. And like a game against the Vikings, like I promise you, these penalties will make us lose this game. The Vikings are a really talented football team.
Oh, yeah.
But speaking of penalties and rushing and everything else, let's talk about the defense, right? We're 20 minutes in this episode. I think they're the real reason why this game turned into what it was,
8 sacks.
8 sacks. The last time the Packers had more than 8 sacks in a football game, do you know when?
1973.
Close. 2005. They had one in 2005. The last time they specifically had like an 8-game sack game, which doesn't matter because they've had 2 9-games since. It was like the late 90s. Well, actually, it was like 90. It doesn't matter. It was awesome. It was a great game. I mean, what a coming out party for Devontae Wyatt. Like, this is the guy that you spent a first-round draft pick on. This was the game you were expecting. We were talking about this. If there was ever a game to see what this front can do in opportunities where they can pass, I mean, this is it. We had 2 sacks from Devontae Wyatt, a sack and a half from Enikbari. He forced a fumble.
Van Ness was in there.
That Van Ness recovered. I mean, 7 guys got half sacks all up and down the board. Just really, really exciting stuff. Rashawn Gary had a sack. Speaking of penalties, that's actually the segue I was thinking of. That got called back because of a Preston Smith encroachment. So same thing. How are we not lining up on the ball right? So
I think that penalty more than any other.
Yeah, it's upsetting.
I'm ripping my hair out.
It's not good. It's not fun.
You're not a rookie either.
No, he's not.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Jair Alexander.
Let's talk about him. He had a great pick six.
I loved the pick six. Pick sixes are great when they're your team doing them. They're very exciting. Besides that play, I don't know that I'm in love with the way that Jair's been playing this season, though. What I've seen from him through 3 games. I'm not saying I hate it. I'm just saying I still expect more from him.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair to expect more from him. He was, for several seasons, one of the top 3 best cornerbacks in the league. I was arguing number 1, but Jalen Ramsey is so damn good. It's hard to. And then obviously Patrick Surtain right now is clearly the best cornerback in the league. But he should, if he is who he says he is, then he needs to get back into that top 5 conversation. I will tell you, rewatching weeks 1 and 2, not the most inspiring, but I will say pick 6 is huge. I will say this game specifically, if you go back and watch the tape, he's up at the line jamming Calvin Ridley. I mean, what a non-game for him. He had almost nothing to write home about in terms of receiving. He one catch for 9 yards. That's it. Ja was on him like glue, and I think the big thing I'm excited about is in Half-ley's scheme, man, you can play press man. He is getting so physical at the line with these guys. Will Levis is getting his timing thrown off. A lot of these pressures are because Will's looking at his checkdowns going, nobody's where they're supposed to be right now. And that's a covered sack, so it's awesome. I think you're right. It could be better, but I'm excited about the signs. He's been bad for the last. Bad's not the right word, but last year was easily his worst year of football in the NFL. I think we can all agree on that. Yeah. And I think for a myriad of reasons, but in terms of buy-in, excitement, the ability to play a scheme that is going to suit him, this definitely feels like it's it. And so I'm hoping this game, is the official benchmark. In 5 weeks, we go, hey, remember against the Titans when he got that pick 6? That's where it really turned around. So, I mean, that pick 6 was so great too. I mean, he got on that ball in a hurry, jumped it great.
It was perfect. Yeah. It was everything. It was everything I expect. I mean, not constantly pick 6s, but that level of athleticism and just overall football play I was like, yes, okay, finally, boom. That was awesome to see. And of course, everyone goes nuts when you see that. All right. Anything else defensive wise before we talk about next week that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I guess I think the only thing I really want to talk about is just, man, Xavier McKinney, huh? What a great, we said it last week. We'll keep saying it. I think averaging an interception every single game you play, but there's some really exciting stuff you can see too. Like his ability to read the quarterback and just, he's really in the deep safety, just all over the place, covering the ball. That interception he got on Jair, he was lined up on the opposite hash. And I mean, Willis is probably telegramming that pass pretty heavy, but to even just get over there, it's just what an incredible performance by him. I just can't. I say it every week. I feel like a broken record, but
keep doing it.
But our safety room was so bad for so long. It's just so incredible to have somebody with that level of talent back there. Just kind of getting to roam around. That's the exciting thing about it. So,
and the thing is that there are plenty of fans out there that are going to say, yeah, but now they have the real test. Which, can I also say, I did not think this was going to be a real test in week 4 with the Vikings, especially like at Lambeau. That I knew the Vikings were not the Bears, right? But the Vikings have gone through the Niners, they've gone through the Texans, like they're nothing, like just incredible play. And I'm like, who is this team? Who's this team? Who's Sam Darnold? What am I missing here? This is going to be. I mean, the Packers have to play perfect to beat this team. You're playing this Vikings team that's super hot. It's Aaron Jones' revenge game, okay, and it's Love's first game back.
Yeah, if he's back, I mean, there's not a guarantee. I mean, we're all assuming. I think so too. But I mean, you can't say it for certain until it happens.
Sure.
So, I mean, if he's not playing, it's probably a loss for sure. I think everybody grossly underestimated how good the Vikings defense is, how good a lot of their pieces on offense are, and that's just the fact that Kevin O'Connell, he's like Matt LaFleur. These guys are absolutely great at getting stuff out of their quarterback. And I wouldn't have maybe lumped MLF in that, but after the last 2 games, you have to. I mean, Kevin O'Connell he did this last year with the pastronaut Josh Downs, so.
Thoughts about next week. You don't have to decide a score yet.
We'll do that. I'm gonna chew on that a little bit. My thoughts on, I honestly, if this game was away, I would say it was the Vikings. I think because it's at home, I think the Packers are going to win. I don't have a score, but I think it's going to be like a last possession type deal. I don't think either team's going to really run away with it. But
I just, the only way I see that happening is if the clock strikes midnight and Darnold becomes what we all know Sam Darnold is.
Well, that's a huge one, right? I mean, this will be the first real, like, Lambeau's loud. There's extra pressure when you have to deal with, and it was Joshua Dobbs, not Joshua Downs, while I'm talking about Vikings quarterback. Sorry. Just for the ledger. Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, hopefully he has a coming down to earth moment, right? I think it's time. I think he's better than what he is. Do I think he's
But he's not this.
I don't.
There's no way.
So. No, I don't think so. But the nice thing about great play callers is that they put you in positions to look great and they limit your opportunities to look bad.
We've seen that with Malik Willis. Yeah. I'm just saying the Malik Willis story and the Sam Darnold story they have comparisons, but they are not the same story.
No.
Okay. This is Malik Willis knew he had a job to do for a few weeks. Sam Darnold, this is Darnold's team. This is for the whole year. Yeah. Was all right. Can this be our guy? And my God, is he being their guy? Just beyond impressed with that and hate it. And also I super hate it. So
yeah, I hate it too.
Anytime you can just stop doing that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, they're great. Like I said, if this game was in Minnesota, I'd say we'd probably lose this just given how close I think these teams are on paper. Hopefully J-Lo coming back, a lot of juice in Lambeau. I mean, there's enough there's enough on our side that I think we could get excited about it. But man, like you said, I'm a little perplexed because I think I just forgot that the Vikings are a serviceable football team, and
they're way more than that now.
100%. I just mean in general. I think I mean like historically, context wise. I just go, oh, JJ McCarthy, their big picks down, their season's over, and it's like they signed Sam Darnold. They were never planning on playing JJ super early. I think they were ready to move forward with him if Darnold was going to play slow, but there's nothing slow or terrible about his game. I mean, he came in and immediately started looking really, really impressive, especially because I think Addison was out. And I mean, they didn't even have their full complement of receivers. So it's going to be a hell of a test for the Packers. I think we get Jordan Love back. I think very, very excited, ready to go.
I hope so.
Because the Packers look great. It's easy to be like, wow, I can't believe they're doing what they're doing. But it's like, I can't believe we did what we did with Jordan Love out. We were maybe a good field away from beating the Eagles. That game, you look at the stats, you look at everything else, it's like we lost that game, but we really should have won it.
It was mistakes. We had dumb mistakes.
Yeah.
That cost us that game.
So,
but yeah.
So I feel good. The season's young. Hopefully it could be some real playoff implications this early in the year, which is kind of wild to think about.
This is heavy. All right. I got to save some of this anxiety for the next episode.
Yeah, save it.
Lighter note on the way out. Let's talk about DeBears and Caleb Williams.
Oh, yeah.
And this team. Woof. Being a Bears fan right now.
It has to be.
Oh, man, they suck. They just and I know people are saying, well, yeah, but they're not helping Caleb Williams. I'm sorry, but I can't believe that it's solely just their line and their. You're still supposed to be. You were the number one pick. You were supposed to be the guy. You told the punter you're not going to be punting much this season, and
what I think Torrey Taylor right now has like 658 total yards, and then the Bears offense just barely broke 700. There's a very funny TikTok. I encourage anyone to go look for it. If I find it, I'll share it on the Don't Tell Me How to Fan Twitter page. We should follow.
Yeah, shout
out. But it's basically somebody going, the fiercest rivalry in all of football. It's the Bears offense versus Torrey Taylor. And he's actually just tracking and checking in week after week about who's doing better. I mean, they're terrible. Their offensive line's bad. You can get all these weapons, but if you can't get protection set up, if you can't read blitzes, I mean, it's just going to be a tough season for Caleb Williams. Did you see that one still of that fourth down play where all four of their linemen just fell over?
They just fell over.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if that happened? If that ever happened with the Packers, if we ever saw a Packers line do that, we would be. I understand.
It would literally never. It would never happen. No, that's what I mean. Like it literally will just
privilege, but I can't fathom it. Like my brain cannot process guys wearing green and gold falling to the ground like that and just letting the defense just immediately. I just can't picture it. I just can't.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. They're bad. It's hilarious. The Bears still suck. I would love to say I feel bad, but I don't. I want to see them be terrible. I literally never want to watch them have another MVP quarterback. I don't know.
Have they?
McMahon, I don't even know if they've.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't even want to. Okay, All Pro, Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And whatever metric you want to use, I want to see them have. Because then Justin Fields is dealing in Pittsburgh right now, which is hilarious. Some are saying Mitch Trubisky might be the second best backup in the NFL behind Malik Willis. Some are saying that.
Some
I haven't heard that. I just made that up. No one saying that. Per sources, but that's a good one.
Suck. That's great.
Yeah.
Also, the only baseball news I want to bring up was that the Cubs have officially been eliminated from playoff contention. And Greg Counsell at the podium said the Brewers are way ahead of us. Their organization on the field, off field, we have a long ways to go. Oh man, just pump it in.
Yeah, music to my ears.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah,
loved it.
Yeah,
loved it. Once again, it's a great time to be a Wisconsin sports fan.
That's right. My only Brewers note, real quick. Brewers handed Arizona the biggest
down 8-0.
loss. Yeah, down 8-0. They've never blown a game that bad in their history as an organization. So
it's a damn shame.
Happy to do that. We still have yet to lose 4 games in a row. So just continue to be a model of consistency. I hope we don't lose another 3 now that we got the win. But Bye watch is dead. We just gotta hope. We're playing a lot of teams we might face. So let's see what can happen. So
time to get hot, and coming back from down 8-0 is a good fire starter. So Hopefully,
could not agree more. Yep.
Hopefully the Packers can keep things going as well. Brewers, as they finish the season. I appreciate everyone tuning in, everyone that continues to like, subscribe, comment, all those things. We see it. Thank you for letting us know things you want to talk about, things you want us to talk about. We appreciate everyone listening, and please continue to do so because we are not done yet.